Şimdi SEO uzmanlarının neredeyse her gün çok sıklıkla kullandığı bir araç olan SEO Monitor'dan Alen Todorov bizlerle olacak. Now Alen Todorov from SEO Monitor, which is widely used by SEO consultants in Turkey, will be with us.
I'm so excited to be in Istanbul. This is my first time here, and I'm just looking at your faces. I really appreciate the invitation that we got from Zia. And what I really wanted to take, like, a few seconds to applaud Zia and applaud all our presenters and from now. I really thank you, man. Thank you so much. So, my presentation is before lunch. So I know everybody's excited about my presentation and not going to it. I'm going to start by going a little deep in a new theory, and it's called jobs to be done. And let's just see if I can use this properly. Yeah, it works. Good. So jobs to be done actually has a bigger history to it. In 1997, you'd have someone named Clayton Christensen releasing a book. It's called Innovators Dilemma. Have you read it? Can you, it's good. So, Innovators Dilemma, it's a book that talks about disruption theory. Now, has anyone heard about disruption? Because it's something I would have expected more, but maybe it's because of the Turkish translation. Disruption theory talks about and helps guide companies into places and challenging companies that were actually unchallengeable until now. So Clayton Christensen comes up 2 years ago with a new theory, and he talks about something called jobs to be done. And you would see, we would go from jobs to be done, and we would talk about milkshakes, and eventually we will get to SEO. So I'm going to start with, I think it's a nice story. It's called the Milkshake case study. Does it sound like businessy? No, but you'll see how it evolves in something very interesting. So you would have a company, a huge fast food company. It starts with M and ends in Donald's. Maybe you heard about it. And so you have a huge company that is trying to sell more, and not sell burgers, but they really want to go deeper and deeper in selling milkshakes. So how would you expect a huge company like them would approach this subject? Well, of course, they are one of the most sophisticated marketers, so they have a lot of data on their hands. So what they do is they start building a customer profile. There you'll have things like what kind of milkshakes are sold, when the delivery is made. They would have videos of it. They would basically just get all this data and then organize something called a focus group, where they actually, they have a really sincere question. How can we improve our milkshakes? And of course, customers, because they are expected to answer something, they'll start responding with things like, I want mine bigger, I want mine healthier, I want more flavors. So they get the feedback, and then they move on into implementing it. But do you know what happened? Sales didn't increase. They made them bigger, they made them healthier, and they provided 12 more flavors to it, but sales didn't increase. So they hired Clayton Christensen. And they were just developing this new idea called jobs to be done. And what they did was, you would say, very rudimentary in a way, but it's very interesting. So what happened is they just stood outside of McDonald's there, and they, instead of doing a focus group, they started noting down. Okay, so who is ordering a milkshake? Okay, so he's a male. All right, so it's 7:30 in the morning. Is he alone? Yeah, he's alone. Okay, and they did that for 18 hours straight, which I can imagine was really interesting, right? They got the research back to the office, and they started seeing some patterns. Something interesting was happening there. You would have more than half of the customers, they would buy milkshakes, they would be alone, And they would come really early in the morning, like 7:30 in the morning. So, let me just get a slide back. They went back to McDonald's, right? They went back to McDonald's and decided to do something interesting there as well. Instead of asking customers what kind of new flavors they would want, they introduced this new idea called job. So just think about it. You'd have someone coming to you and saying, what job are you trying to solve with a milkshake? Well, the answers were quite, I don't know. I never thought about I never thought about a milkshake like a job, but I can tell you what I'm actually doing with this milkshake. It turns out that most of the responses were this. They were stuck in traffic. Is anyone stuck in traffic in Istanbul? Does that happen here? Yeah, I guess. I kind of imagined yesterday. I kind of imagined that it kind of happens. So a lot of them, they were stuck in traffic for more than an hour, and they wanted to get to their job. Actually, they needed to get to their job. Nobody really wants that. They needed to get to their job, and they wanted to do something in that time. Other customers didn't really answer fully, so they had a follow-up question. When you didn't hire a milkshake, what did you hire? Well, one of the customers said, I hired a banana. That sucked. I mean, it was done in 10 minutes, and I was really, really hungry in 30 minutes from then. Another customer said, and he was like, please don't tell my wife, but I sometimes hire donuts. And while they are tasty, the thing is that when you're driving with a donut, you know, that's like the wheel there. You'll have to throw the donut somewhere, and you usually throw it in the car. So you had all the crumbles there. So I would fire those donuts. I wouldn't hire them anymore. Another one also confessed, I also do this kind of thing. So I take a bagel, and I take some butter, and I leave it on the passenger seat, and I spread it, but then I'm not really concentrating on the road. So it's me just going like this. I think I'm going to fire the bagel as well. But did it work? When I'm hiring a milkshake, God, that flavor lasts all my boring commute. So when I have a milkshake, what happens is that it fits properly in my car, so I have no problem with it. And I really, really love the fact it takes all my boring commute and transforms it into something different. So now let's think about milkshakes, or let's think about the product that customer actually hired. He didn't want a milkshake. He didn't want a healthier milkshake, you know, because it didn't really matter. He wanted to do something while commuting in his or her car and wanted something that would fit right. Then you start thinking, oh, all right, maybe the product isn't based on its features. Maybe the product is based on what that product tries to help, what job that product helps the customer. So think about this. It's always that there is a problem that you are trying to solve. And I know, like you have very specific problems. I need to refurbish my bathroom, no? Or I need to do something very specific. But sometimes there are problems like this. I'm bored, no? Can you think of a social network that solves this problem? You know, it's actually, I'm bored for 5 minutes. I'm not bored for half an hour, so I'm not going to watch Netflix. I'm bored for 5 minutes, and I have to take care of where I am, so I need something that would solve that problem for me. See, this is why customers don't really buy products. They hire products to get the job done. So what is the job to be done? So if you're interviewing customers, when you start hearing things like, help me avoid, this is a really interesting stuff. You would want them to avoid something, or I need to. Now, let's take a comparison to see what's not a job to be done. It's not low cost. It's not convenience, it's not cheap, and it doesn't make someone feel happy. It's more about what are they trying to accomplish then. So, getting to some SEO finally. So, we try to make SEO Monitor better. So how would you approach that subject? Until now, what we did was to create more graphs, to have better APIs, to export to CSV, to find new ways to export data. I mean, all of this got us to a place where everything looks kind of like Excel. You know, it's become all these huge spreadsheets, and you'd have to have a PhD just to understand it, because it's complex, it solves a lot of problems, but does it? And we ended up with this, which helps people, but I'm not sure that was the best approach. So what we got back, we got back to it, and please tell me if you relate to this. I think last year we started, let's think this through the new framework. Let's think this through the jobs to be done framework in an SEO agency. This is our core client profile. So usually in agencies, you'll find these roles. Like you'd have someone that gets in touch with customers. You'd have a CEO, of course. You'd have a sales manager who does all the business development. And you'll have the experts, the SEO experts. So what were the jobs that they were trying to accomplish? I mean, it's logically they want to sell more, but what were the specific jobs? So we have the account manager. What does she need? Well, she needs help in showing the true value of her teamwork. You know, like finding ways to, because she's always there with her team or with his team, and she sees everybody's working, and she wants to go to the customers and say, this is what's happening. So help me show my customers the team, my team's work, and very importantly, keep my customers happy. SEO expert. So what would an SEO expert that is always challenged by developer resources, it's always challenged by the fact that maybe someone from the marketing department in the company doesn't want to implement something, or there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the industry, and he has to get the point across. So usually, they need to find ways to quickly bring significant improvements to the customer's website. And that's important. I'm really emphasizing on the fact it's significant improvement. It's not like I'm just going to do something. You have a list, and you have to prioritize it, and you have to pick the best thing that is allowed there because you're going to consume developers. Resources, time, and everything. And maybe it might not work, but you'll have to find the best thing that you should communicate to your customers. We have an SEO expert. Now let's think, what would a sales manager maybe want? Well, closing sales, getting commission, things like this. But how do you actually do that? What he or she needs is to convince the prospect that their agency is the perfect solution. It's because there are a lot of agencies, and usually these kind of things happen in pitches. So how do you convince, how could I convince my prospects that this is the best solution that I have? And the CEO. Can anyone guess what would a CEO want? I'm really looking for some feedback. So if you can shout something, I'm really good. Yeah. But how do you say that without really saying money? I want to grow my agency because it means more than just money. It actually most of the times is more than just money. So I'm going to now show you a video that we shoot specifically for this presentation, and it talks about what happens in an SEO agency. If you could please just play the video.
The world always belonged to the strong and the powerful, the connected, the handsome, the almighty. For winners, winning is easy. We live in a winner's world. Winners don't just rest and sniff their gold medals. They take advantage of every opportunity. But there will be a day when the last shall be first. And the smart will overcome, or maybe not. Signals, the digital marketing tool for winners. So great, it's unfair.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I'm not finished, sorry. So, what you would see there, and that's actually what we believe to be the next logical step in SEO, the next logical step in analysis. We even have a funny name for it, a data scientist disguised as a mobile app. And it's not just mobile, it sits with you on the desktop as well. So why did we build Signals? Why did I have that story about milkshakes? It's because the fundamental realization about analysis is that we gather a lot of data. I mean, I've seen only screenshots with spreadsheets. And the problem with data is that you just can't afford the time necessary to analyze it. So the only logical way for SEO and marketing to evolve is to have that data streamed to you. So let's see how does this solve the problems of account managers, sales managers in an SEO agency. So as I said, we have the account manager. What Signal does, and you have like a small demo here, what Signal does is it instantly surfaces the recent wins. Did you recently just get in top 10 for a good keyword that you're really looking forward? Maybe you don't really know as an account manager. You would have to wait for the report or to have the weekly meeting to talk about customers. What if you would just woke up and realize, oh, this is really nice. I'm going to share that with my customer. Would that make them happy? I guess so. Next. OK. So you have an SEO expert. An SEO expert, it has to be connected not only with the industry, like we are all doing it here, but they have to be connected with the data they are analyzing. So once again, you have the issue of analyzing and going deeper and deeper and selecting different time frames just to get, or getting data from different places, just to get like a view of what's happening. Because there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people researching, generating keywords, generating purchase intent. How could you surface that? So what you would see Signals doing is focusing on those, I would say like low-hanging fruits. You know, like you would wake up in the morning and you'd see a new opportunity, something that not even your competitors are trying because it takes a lot of time to find those. The sales manager. Now, picture this. So you are working in sales, you want to close a deal, and you want some leverage. And usually you don't have a lot of leverage because you are the one that are selling something. What if you would outsmart your customer? What if you, instead of going there and learning, what if you could just know everything that happened today, last days, or 30 days ago with your prospects data? And Signals does that. That's actually the idea, and the reason we are using jobs to be done is that we realized that we should have taken those jobs and automized them. That's actually what happened. Help people in agencies be a better version of themselves because they have this companion that would always tell them what's happening. And because I also mentioned the CEO, let's see what the CEO that had Signals installed one day would do. Can you please show the second video?
I run my agency with an app. So let me tell you about my day. Jane, our newly hired sales exec, closed a huge customer with just a screenshot.
Just like that?
Just like that. She emailed them about a competitor. Sarah, for example, juggled nearly 20 accounts today.
20 accounts?
And 40 emails, all of them urgent, ASAP, or yesterday. But she always stays on top with just-in-time insights. And Tim, our head of SEO, who's in a safari now, texted me about a cannibalization issue.
What? Is he okay?
No, he's fine. He just saved us from what could have been a very costly mistake. And all this while waiting for his piri-piri chicken.
Then what did you do all day?
I was at an SEO conference.
That's unfair.
Yes, it is. It's Signals.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we have some questions?
So, thank you so much for the presentation.
No,
and
thank you for the...
You are the reason if we are going to have an extra dessert after the lunch. because you start with milkshake, and I'm really hungry for milkshake. So, thank you so much again.